Attention. Ho. Order. Ho. Left. Place. Forward. March.
Welcome. Thank you all for coming. Please remain standing for a few more moments. And I'd like to call up fourth grade student Kira and her father to come lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
This is my dad, David Serpenot. He is a master sergeant in the United States Air Force. He just got back in October from a deployment overseas. We will be leading you in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, please remain standing for the national anthem played by the E.F. Enfield High School musicians. Okay, please be seated. Okay, next I'd like to welcome up our Parkman School Principal, Miss Irene Roman, who will get our program underway.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Parkman School. Before I get into what I actually wrote here, I just want to say I am truly touched by what I've seen so far. Boys and girls, you have shown an amazing amount of patriotism, and I'm very proud of you, very proud. Our wreaths, thank you for coming to our school and the Wreaths Across America celebration. My name is Irene Roman, and I'm grateful to be the principal here at Parkman School. I also feel honored to be standing up here in front of so many people with such great patriotism. Our goal is to spread this patriotic spirit to citizens of all ages. Our students have engaged in a number of academic and artistic activities leading up to this special day. The purpose of the celebration is to share an understanding and our gratitude for the true heroes who have protected and continue to protect our way of life. They come to our rescue every day to defend the freedoms that make us very lucky to live in the United States of America. They don't wear capes or have magical powers, but have even more honorable traits. They are tremendously brave, selfless, and amazingly loyal patriots. These are our servicemen and women. If it weren't for this very special group of men and women, you would not be able to enjoy many of the freedoms you have today, boys and girls. I want you to take a minute to think. Raise your hand if you were allowed to come to school today. Okay. Raise your hand if you can share your thoughts and opinions openly with other people. Okay. Raise your hand if you can pick what you want to be when you grow up. Great. And raise your hand if you can take part in activities that you truly enjoy. Thank you. This is not the case everywhere. You see, our military gives us the chance to enjoy these freedoms today and an opportunity to look forward to tomorrow. Today, we honor and thank each and every one of them. Before we move forward with our program, I want to thank 3 dedicated people who have done a tremendous amount of planning and prep to make the program happen today. These people are Mrs. Lori Gates, Mrs. Cunningham, and Miss Guzzi. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. I also wanted to take the opportunity to thank Walmart and Wreaths Across America program for making Parkman School a stop on their trip to Arlington. This is truly, truly very special. Let's give them a round of applause also. And my many thanks go out to all of the Parkman teachers here who are just phenomenal. They undertook special projects and taught special lessons to our students in preparation just for this visit. Let's give them a round of applause too. We have many special guests that I want to introduce today. Guests, I'm going to ask that you please wave from your seat. And audience members, I'm going to ask that you hold your applause to the end because we do have many. We have here state representatives Greg Stokes and Carol Hall, Enfield Mayor Michael Ludwig, Deputy Mayor Donna Suzak, and members of the Enfield Town Council. We have Superintendent of Enfield Public Schools Christopher Drezick and the members of EPS's central office. We have Enfield Board of Education Chairman Walter Krusell, Vice Chairman Charlotte Riley, and members of the Enfield Board of Education. Colonel Rick Fox of the Connecticut State Police with several other state police officers also join us today. Enfield Chief of Police Carl Sferrazza, along with several members of our Enfield Police Force. We also have members of the Enfield Fire and EMS departments. We have Kelly Davis, Regent of the DAR, the Connecticut Patriot Guard Riders, and the many veterans and special friends and family members. We thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules this morning and for being here to celebrate with us today.
In just a few days from today, on December 16th, 2017, Wreaths Across America will be at Arlington National Cemetery to remember and honor our veterans. This remembrance will be through the laying of wreaths on the graves of our country's fallen heroes and the act of saying the name of each and every veteran aloud. But to fully understand the mission of remember, honor, and teach, we need to know how it all began. Morrill Worcester, owner of Worcester Wreath Company of Harrington, Maine, was a 12-year-old paperboy for the Bangor Daily News when he won a trip to Washington, D.C. His first trip to our nation's capital was one that he would never forget, and Arlington National Cemetery made an especially important impression on him. This experience followed him throughout his life and successful career, and it reminded him that his good fortune was due in a large part to the values of this nation and the veterans who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country.
In 1992, Worcester Wreath Company found themselves with a surplus of wreaths nearing the end of the holiday season. Remembering his boyhood experience at Arlington, Worcester realized he had an opportunity to honor our country's veterans. With the aid of Maine Senator Olympia Snowe, arrangements were made for the wreaths to be placed at Arlington in one of the older sections of the cemetery that had been receiving fewer visitors with each passing year.
The annual tribute went on quietly for several years until 2005, when a photo of the stones at Arlington, adorned with wreaths and covered in snow, circulated around the internet. Suddenly, the project received national attention. Thousands of requests poured in from all over the country, from people wanting to help the Arlington to emulate the Arlington Project, their national and state cemeteries, or simply share their stories and thank Morrow Worcester for honoring our nation's heroes. Unable to donate thousands of wreaths to each state, Worcester began sending 7 wreaths to each state, 1 for each branch of the military, and for POW and MIAs.
In 2006, with the help of the Civil Air Patrol and other civic organizations, simultaneous wreath-laying ceremonies were held at over 150 locations around the country. The Patriot Guard Riders volunteered as escort for the wreath going to Arlington. This began the annual Veterans Honor Parade that travels the East Coast in early December.
In 2008, over 300 locations held wreath-laying ceremonies in every state. Puerto Rico and 24 overseas cemeteries, over 100,000 wreaths were placed on veterans' graves, and over 60,000 volunteers participated.
In 2014, Wreaths Across America and its national network of volunteers laid over 700,000 memorial wreaths at over 1,000 locations in the United States and beyond, including ceremonies at the Pearl Harbor Memorial, as well as Bunker Hill, Valley Forge, and the sites of September 11th tragedies. This was accomplished with help from 2,047 fundraising groups. Thousands of other helping hands, donations of shipping, corporate donations of trucking, like our friends here from Walmart Trucking. It was this year, 2014, that the organization's goal of covering Arlington National Cemetery was met with the placement of 226,525 wreaths.
The wreath laying is still held annually on the second or third Saturday of December. Wreaths Across America's annual pilgrimage from Harrington, Maine to Arlington National Cemetery has become known as the world's largest veterans parade. The parade stops at schools, monuments, veterans' homes, and communities all along the way to remind people how important it is to remember, honor, and teach. Now I'd like to welcome up Enfield Public Schools Superintendent Christopher Drezick.
Good morning. Town Manager Brian Chakowski was on his way over here and got stuck, so on behalf of the town of Enfield, the Enfield Public Schools, and more importantly here at Parkman, Parkman Elementary School has been honored now for the 4th time to host a portion of the delivery convoy as it heads to Arlington National Cemetery just 3 days from now. You students are getting a very special opportunity that most students in schools don't have. And it's a program that we welcome with open arms and we will never forget. So thank you for allowing us all to have this a small part in this amazing mission, and thank you for having us.
Okay, next our students will lead us in singing America the Beautiful. We're going to need 1 quick minute to get the words up on the screen behind me. And students, if you could quietly stand up in your spot, you're going to sing from there. I'm sure by now you've noticed the backdrop for our assembly today. Hanging behind me are red, white, and blue papers decorated with flat veterans. Students at Parkman had conversations at home about family members and friends who were either active duty or retired from a branch of the military. Each student colored a flat veteran, and they labeled it with the name of someone that they would like to recognize for their service. If you are a 3rd grade student and you brought in a flat veteran, raise your hands. 3rd graders did a fabulous job. Yours are hanging on this red paper over here, and we are representing 155 people you recognize from 3rd grade. If you are a 4th grade student and you brought in a flat veteran, raise your hands. 4th grades are on the white paper right behind me, and they have recognized 111 people. And finally, the 5th grade flat veterans are hanging on the blue paper down there. Raise your hand if you're a 5th grader and you brought one in. 5th graders brought in 64 flat veterans to display on their papers. Parkman staff also contributed to either a classroom or a general display, which brings our grand total up to 330 service members, friends, and family from Parkman staff and students that we recognized. Thank you to everyone who helped contribute to our lovely display. And next, I'd like to ask Lori Gates to come forward, along with our guests from Walmart Trucking, for a short presentation.
Nice job, everybody, on those flat veterans. So, we've all noticed by now the large contingent of state police, Enfield Police, fire, EMS, Patriot Guard riders. They've filled the room. They've spilled over into the hallway. When these wreaths leave Maine, they head out on a course that's been referred to as the country's longest Veterans Parade, lasting a whole week, making stops along the route to further the mission of remember, honor, and teach. In 2016, volunteers from several trucking companies delivered over 400 loads of wreaths to be placed on veterans' graves. 1.2 million remembrance wreaths were placed at 1,228 cemeteries around our country. We are incredibly thankful for their continued generous support in ensuring that veterans buried in all corners of this great nation are honored. If not for the volunteered efforts of the trucking industry, this wouldn't be happening today. So I'd like to ask Nate to come forward to say a few words on behalf of Walmart Trucking, and for Nate and his fellow drivers to come forward for presentation of a special gift from Parkman School. You can talk to him.
Hey everyone, I want to start out by saying I have last year's gift with me, and I can tell you, you guys must be able to see the future because I really needed a scarf today. I am from Maine and I grew up in Maine and I'm used to it being cold, but it's cold today. And I really want to thank you guys. I couldn't believe you guys were all outside. It was freezing out there and you guys were all out there. It was an amazing sight for all of us to see. I certainly don't like to talk about Walmart, and I'm going to keep that very simple. I work for a great company who was started by a Army veteran, Mr. Sam Walton, and our company has strong ties to hiring veterans and respect for the military. So with that, they allow us to support this event. I was able to have around 22 trucks support Reese Across America this year. We were able to, some folks over here from our East Windsor store, and they were able to help support us with this event here today. You know, for you guys, the thing that I want to say about veterans and Reese Across America is, you know, you guys have, you know, the ability to grow with a respect for our veterans. And, you know, as you grow up, that's something that you guys need to continue and teach others about. Remembering veterans is not about this event today. It's not about Veterans Day. It's not about 4th of July. It's not about Memorial Day. And we can go on and on. It's about every day, right? And as we said at the beginning of the event, we get to do the things we can do because of what other people have done for us. And that's why we need to support and respect our veterans every day. So as you grow up, that's something that you guys need to grow and foster, right? You keep it in your heart, and that's where we need to keep our veterans. From the trucking standpoint, I want to talk a little bit about my 3 drivers that I have here, tell you a little bit about them, but they certainly have the most precious cargo they ever have to haul on their trailers right now. And if you see inside the trailers, they're not full. And they're not full because the trailers are loaded by sections, and there are 70 sections in Arlington National Cemetery. So our trailers represent only three of the 70 sections in Arlington National Cemetery. So with us here, I have Larry Kmeyer. He is from the other side of the East Coast. Larry is from Fort Pierce, Florida, and he's not used to this weather. But Larry was chosen to represent this event. Not only is he a Marine veteran, Larry is the only Walmart associate that has his own fundraising arm to raise money to buy wreaths for Arlington, or wreaths for a cemetery. He actually raises money for the South Florida National Cemetery in Lake Worth, Florida, and Larry and his team has raised money to purchase 1,000 wreaths for that cemetery. Congratulations. I lose my flag. Joe in the middle. Joe is from Tobyhanna, Pennsylvania, so not far from here. Joe is also a Marine veteran, and Joe served in Vietnam and was a door gunner and a Huey. Did I get that right, Joe? So congratulations. Thank you, Joe. And the last one I have is Steve Weldon. Steve Weldon is one of my guys from Lewiston, Maine. He is used to the cold weather. But Steve is actually our 2017 Walmart Integrity Action Award winner. And to kind of put that in perspective, Walmart US selects one associate every year, one of the 2 million US associates to receive this award. Steve is the recipient of that award, and Steve also, for the past several years, has brought his wife and his family on his own to lay wreaths at Arlington National Cemetery, so that's why Steve is here with us as well. So, on this trip, we left Harrington, Maine on Sunday, and we left in 8 inches of snow. It was icy and slippery, and we left there together and made stops throughout Maine. We were in Foster, Rhode Island yesterday at Pontiac Middle School visiting with those kids, and we've seen everything from snow to sleet to freezing rain to rain, and now today it's cold. But what I want you guys to know is they have that precious cargo, and they have a mission to get to Arlington National Cemetery. And these 3 drivers in their Walmart driving career have over 5 million accident-free miles. And they probably have twice that in their career, although they probably don't want me to talk about that. So they are very safe professional drivers, and To know what 5 million miles is like, it's like driving around the earth 200 times. It's like driving to Florida and back to Enfield, Connecticut to Disneyland over 2,100 times. And it's like going to Hartford and back over 125,000 times. So these guys have put a lot of miles on the road, and I just want you to know that through rain, snow, freezing rain, or cold weather, these drivers will complete their mission and safely get these wreaths to where they need to be, and that is honoring our veterans at Arlington National Cemetery. Thank you.
Since Nate wore last year's gift and it's extra cold, he can get a second.
I need another one. I really do.
How's everybody doing today? Good. I'm right at home because I'm a trucker buddy class. I have a trucker buddy class in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I go down and visit them usually about June, and I end up taking the truck with them, and it's kind of like a pen pal. So I write to them with my family and everything, what goes on in my life, where I go, what I do, and so then I go and visit them. But what I want to do right now is, if the parents have their phones out, we're going to do a little video, but I need audience participation. So can you guys repeat with me? USA, USA, USA. Louder, I need to hear it louder. All right, so with my two friends here, you got your phone with you? Go get your phone. So with my two friends that I bought, they're going to have their phones, and we're going to record you as we walk around on the outside of everybody, giving high fives. So I want everybody on the outside to give us high fives, and I want you to, at the same time, to holler USA. Okay? All right, everybody's going to sit down now. Yeah, they know what they're doing. All right, you gotta leave us a path right there. All right, you ready? All right, so everybody, we need to start saying USA, 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 as loud as you can. Okay, thank you. Now that I've disrupted the class, I'll turn it back over. Thank you.
Okay, so we go from loud to quiet. In 2011, a man named Don Campbell wrote a song about the journey and the people who make that journey from Maine to Arlington called The Snow at Arlington. I'd like to invite you to view the video created by the Wreaths Across America Foundation for this song.
This tractor trailer's filled with evergreens, shaped into wreaths for unfilled Christmas trees. We keep the coffee strong, 'cause it's a snowy road we're on. Yet it's a scene where we belong. We've got some friends helping along the way. They check the road ahead so we're okay. We stop to say hello so that everyone can know why this is where we'll go. There's a spirit in the wheel that makes us go. Let the fun help us feel and make us go. Let the memories carry us even when this trip's done. Every daughter, every son, resting beneath the snow of Arlington. There's something about the trees that grow and stay warm. They're strong enough to fight the snow and the freezing rain. They're kind of like our veterans, those unforgetting friends, standing at the ready till the end. People stand and wave to us in the worst of the storm, showing their support for the brave who wear uniform. Though they're cold and soaking wet, they refuse to ever forget those who gave their life before. There's a spirit in our wheels that makes us roll. Let the fallen help us heal and make us whole. Let the memories carry us even when this trip's done. For every daughter, every son, resting beneath the snow of Arlington.
Okay, next we have some students from grade 3 who will be reading a poem of gratitude.
Dear veterans, those of us who have not served will never fully understand the sacrifices you've made, both in times of peace and of war.
We will never fully understand what you were required to do or how you were able to do it.
We will never fully understand the depths of your scars.
But what we can offer you is this.
We recognize your humanity.
And we send you love that is gentle, patient, and caring. With blessings and gratitude, we ask that you remember that you are loved.
Thank you.
For the past few weeks, you students have learned about veterans, patriotism, honoring and remembering those who have served our country, and perhaps most poignantly, about Gold Star families.
A Gold Star family is defined as the immediate relatives of members of the USA Armed Forces who have been killed in combat or in support of certain military activities.
As part of their lessons, portraits of 5 brave men from Enfield and Suffield, whose loving families are represented here today, were hung in classrooms, and you students had access to information about who they are as young men. Not soldiers, not sailors, not Marines, but men. The 2017 theme for Wreaths Across America is I am an American, yes I am. And I know firsthand that over 300 intermediate elementary students understand very well what it means to be a patriotic American, as well as what Americans have sacrificed in defense of our country's values. Seated to my immediate right is a very special group of people who are very important to me personally, but perhaps more so to our community. These are our Gold Star families. They have allowed us an inside view to their world and how life has changed for them because of that word I just used, sacrifice. While I'm certain that remembering their loss is incredibly difficult for them, they have graciously allowed us to use that loss as a learning tool for others. That's personification of that word, sacrifice. My hope is that by becoming familiar with these families, we will never forget those who have risked, or, in some cases, given everything for us, as well as those who continue to sign up for that same risk every single day. In the words of Karen Worcester, Wreaths Across America is not here to decorate graves. We are here to remember and honor not their deaths, but their lives. These brave men remain vital parts of our lives because of who they are. Specialist 4, Angelo Joseph Sferrazza was a brave and polite young man. A 1962 graduate of Enfield High School, he didn't wait to be drafted for service in Vietnam, and instead he enlisted at Fort Dix, New Jersey. After serving in Germany for 2 years, he was transferred to duty in Vietnam, where he served as an aircraft gunner. Angelo's helicopter was shot down on Monday, July 11, 1966, making him Enfield's first casualty in the Vietnam conflict. He was 22 years old, and he is buried in St. Patrick's King Street Cemetery here in Enfield. Sergeant First Class Micah Wellin-Taconis, will you please come up and accept a wreath on behalf of the Sferrazza family in memory of Angelo? Gunnery Sergeant Philip Andrew Jordan enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps at the age of 27 after overcoming a difficult life. He'd been orphaned by the age of 13 and had battled and beaten cancer. By age 42, he'd seen his fair share of battlegrounds over the 15 previous years, and he was married with a 6-year-old son. In the early weeks of March 2003, Operation Iraqi Freedom began, and Phil was in the initial wave of servicemen engaged in the Battle of Al-Nasiriyah. He was killed while running ammunition back and forth from vehicles to his entrenched men on Sunday, March 23, 2003, and was posthumously awarded the Silver Star, third highest award for valor in combat. Phil is buried in St. Patrick's King Street Cemetery here in Enfield. Sergeant Dylan Elvington, will you please escort the Jordan family to receive a wreath in memory of Gunnery Sergeant Jordan? Corporal Stephen Richard Bixler was a standout athlete and Eagle Scout who graduated from Suffield High School in the class of 2003 prior to enlisting in the United States Marine Corps. Stephen swiftly rose through their ranks and became a non-commissioned officer and felt very strongly about what he and his fellow Marines were accomplishing and helping others. On Thursday, May 4th, 2006, Corporal Bixler was conducting a nighttime route clearance operation when he identified an improvised explosive device, or IED, and warned his fellow Marines, allowing them time and space to protect themselves. When he moved forward to conduct a more thorough sweep of the area, a buried IED exploded and claimed his life. Stephen was 20. He is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Sergeant Jonathan Sturgeon, will you please escort Corporal Bixler's parents and grandmother to receive a wreath in memory of Stephen? Lance Corporal Philip Alexander Johnson was a 2005 graduate of Enfield High School and a standout athlete as well as a music enthusiast. He had joined Westover Young Marines at the age of 11, so his parents knew when he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps that he was finally fulfilling his personal dream of becoming a Marine. By 2006, he was training with the Scout Snipers Weapons Unit, and later that same year in July, he received his orders to deploy to Iraq. On Sunday, September 3, 2006, while conducting route clearance and ammunitions resupply, he encountered an IED and was killed at the age of 19. Philip is buried in Hazardville Cemetery here in Enfield, Connecticut. Corporal Jeffrey Morgan, will you please escort Lance Corporal Johnson's mother, sister, and grandmother to receive a wreath in Philip's memory? An avid diver and runner, Dustin Doyen of Suffield loved to skateboard, cook, hike, and spend time outdoors. He had graduated from Cathedral High School in Springfield in 2009, where he was an accomplished track star, and he joined the U.S. Navy in February of 2015. A certified rescue swimmer for the Navy, his love of adventure and experiences could be explained in his simple, self-proclaimed motto, "I'm not lost, I'm exploring." Petty Officer Doyen was killed in the early morning hours of Monday, August 21st, 2017, when the ship he served on, the USS John McCain, was hit by an oil tanker off the coast of Singapore. He was 26. Dustin is buried in West Suffield Cemetery. Chief Petty Officer Paul Whitcomb, will you please escort the parents of Petty Officer Second Class Doyen to receive a wreath in memory of their son? Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to get to know your fallen loved ones. I speak on behalf of all of us when I promise they'll never be forgotten. Would you all please rise for our next song?
Please be seated. We would like to take this time to thank everyone for allowing us the honor of hosting you for our program today, and we wish you very safe travels as you head to Arlington National Cemetery and then back home, wherever that may be. We thank you for your time, your dedication to the Wreaths Across America program, and we would like to especially thank all of our veterans in attendance today for your selfless service on our behalf. Please remember that this Saturday is Enfield's annual Wreaths Across America ceremony at St. Patrick's King Street Cemetery. It will be held simultaneously with over 1,000 cemeteries at noon, and there we will remember our local veterans. This marks the conclusion of our program. And lastly, would everyone please rise for the retirement of the colors?